Hi, I'm Coach Mia Allman. Welcome to Ribbons of Survivors 365 in association with Kids Conquering Sickle Cell and Pink 360, Pink and Pearls, as we present the third annual Warriors of Hope and Courage virtual celebration. I am your producer and host for this evening, coming to you from Ocoee, Florida. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce you to one of my co-hosts, which is Carla Lewis, and she is the founder of Kids Conquering Sickle Cell Disease Inc. is the grassroots for Kids Conquering Sickle Cell Foundation, started in 2004 as a support group at Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital, established by our dedicated founder, Carla Lewis. To meet the growing demands of the community, our foundation was established as a nonprofit organization. Carla Lewis, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here today.
Awesome that you're here. And now we'll get to the second co-host, which is Evangelist Laquana Glasser, aka Lady Q, founder of Pink 360, Pink and Pearls, which offers information about breast cancer and lung cancer and how it affects our community and their families. She shares stories and testimonies to help others that have similar experience. Lady Q, welcome. Can't hear you. Okay, might be having a little bit of technical difficulty.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear
yes,
me now?
we can hear you.
Yes. I'm excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm excited. This is like one of my favorite time of the year, just to celebrate, our honorees and give back in the community. So I'm not sure if Sandra Fatmi's here, but we'll keep it moving. And to get started, Lady Q, can you share an opening prayer to bless
Definitely.
this event?
Yes. Let's just get our hearts and our minds aligned. Dear God, we just thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. Lord, we thank you for every honoree that's being honored today, even those that are giving that we're giving tributes to and their families, oh God. Lord, we just ask that you cover each and every individual and continue to protect them in this journey. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for sharing that. I now want to kick off our show with a very special young lady that I've gotten to know. Adriana Clark, she is the daughter of William Bunny Ruggs Clark, former lead singer of the legendary reggae group Third World. She is the host, producer of the Praise Radio show on Caribbean Rhythms Radio. You can catch her every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon online at CRRF. And you can also download the app, the CRR network app online as well too. And we're going to play a special, she shared a message to the honorees, and she's going to sing also a song as well. So
good evening. My name is Adriana Clark, and it is a privilege and an honor to be able to celebrate the honorees for this year's Ribbon of Survivors 365. You know, my father passed away from cancer in 2013, so I know what it is like to lose someone from that vicious disease. But today it is an honor to celebrate those who have made it through and survived through probably one of the toughest times of your life. And I pray that God will continue to strengthen you, to give you courage and to give you hope, even in times of doubt and struggle, to know that if he brought you through, he can bring you through anything. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you again.
She's now going to sing a very song to the honorees and also those that are watching.
You are my strength like no other, strength like no other reaches to me. You are my hope like no other, my hope like no other. Yes, you are. Reaches to me. God, in the fullness of your grace and in the power of your name, you lift me up. You lift me up, oh, and we rise up, rise like the day. We rise up, rise unafraid. We rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. Yes, we'll rise up, rise like the wave. We rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. Lord, with you, with you, with you, Lord, with you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Adriana Clark, for the inspirational words and that beautiful song. Now back to you, Lady Q.
Yes, thank you, thank you for that. That was an amazing song, actually. So now as we move forward, Carla, could you please share some inspiring words of being an advocate and why it's important to celebrate our warriors of hope and courage?
Yes, thank you for this time. I want to tell you, our warriors just fight with resilience. So it's important to celebrate life in general. So I know that even from being an advocate, I'm a mommy warrior of a child that battles sickle cell and a child that battles kidney disease. And I was a child of my mom that battled cancer and lost her battle with cancer when I was 18. So I am thankful to be here today to just celebrate warriors, because I know that the resilience of the fight comes with so much. And it gives hope to not only to me, that inner child in me that saw my mother fight so hard, but me as the mom that have a child, to see my child go through so much, but go through it with resilience, that fight every single day. So I thank you for being here. And I want to say, I just give thanks for each and every one of you sharing us in a part of your journey today. I think that when we think about our warriors, that name alone, warriors, just comes with dignity. And I thank you right now for sharing your journey with us, because it's so important when we think about the hope that comes along with this fight. We are here for you, And we'll continue to fight along with you, looking for resources, being that friend, being that one that you can share your time with. This is the time that we want to join together. Thank you for joining this occasion to bring hope and definitely bring comfort to those that we will never forget their fight. Their memories still live on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla, for those words of wisdom, and thank you for all that you do within the community, and with your foundation, Kids Conquering Sickle Cell, and just supporting, the young children, as well as educating the caregivers of those children as well. So thank you, and thank you for being here and being part of Ribbons of Survivors. Lady Q, would you mind introducing our 2021 honorees for Ribbons of Survivors?
Yes. It's definitely a blessing, and it's an honor to introduce these individuals. So our lupus honoree is Esther Charleston. Our uterine cancer honoree is Dr. Reverend Karen Green. Our domestic violence honoree is Muriel Basante. And I apologize if I didn't say your name correctly. Our breast cancer honoree is Dr. Pam Powell. And our mental health illness honoree is Ruby Mabry. And our sickle cell disease honoree is Shamar Lewis. So we thank you for being here with us and being the honorees for us this year in 2021.
Thank you.
Welcome, honorees. Thank you all for being here. Before we get to the tribute for this evening, I want to share something that was really heavy on my heart. This morning, I wrote something that I would like to share with you all. And it says, someone once asked me, "What's your greatest loss?" I openly replied by saying, other than my parents, it would be myself after being diagnosed with breast cancer 21 years ago in May 2000. When you've been faced with an illness, wait, I lost my place here. When you have been faced with an illness as devastating as cancer that strips you down to the core, you tend to lose yourself from within. Your mindset gets consumed with so many thoughts and questions of, am I going to die? Will I survive? Why is this happening to me? And do I have the strength to get through this? And how do I tell my friends and family? The list will go on, and you will question your faith and not being able to accept the truth. Even though I survived breast cancer, it was definitely a hard road of struggles, learning to love myself, coping with mental illness, to accept what was happening to me. Being able to look at myself in the mirror after losing my breast and hair, it took me months of acceptance. Years later, I finally realized how beautiful I was as a woman inside out. And my acceptance turned into self-love. I finally found myself again. So that loss became my greatest gift. Too many of us lose ourselves and hide what I call the hidden mask. We block the truth and avoid conversations with our family and friends. We tell them we're okay, but deep down inside, we are hurting. My road to survivorship is a still ongoing battle that I have been affected with side effects from chemo and radiation. excuse me. And these things, I'm telling you, comes back to bite you in the you know what years later. But on a positive note, one lesson I've learned is sometimes we have to lose something to learn how to appreciate and recognize who we are, our self-worth, our true self, and it will test your faith and question why God these things happen to good people. Today, I am a 21 breast cancer survivor. And for those of you that know me, there is no stopping. My faith and trust in God has kept me going in all that I do, and especially to honor you, honorees, and to educate others. Now, I would, again, thank you to Lady Q for introducing these honorees. Tonight, we are not only celebrating warriors of hope and courage, but we are also celebrating and remembering the ones we've lost. This year event is dedicated in honor of two special individuals who we've lost their battle to cancer. A dear friend of mine, Brian Ivy, and Dottie Good. I'd like to share a little something about Brian before Sophie comes on and shares a little bit about Brian. Brendan O'Brien Ivy, known to his friends as Brian Ivy. He was born in Jamaica to parents Raymond and Johnette. He moved to the U.S. at age 8, growing up in West Palm Beach, and later moved to Orlando, Florida, which he eventually became his home to attend the University of Central Florida, UCF. During this time at UCF, he met the love of his life, Jillian Dunbar, who he married in 2008 and had a son, Matthew, who is his pride and joy. His entrepreneurial career was in marketing and most of all helping people. He created back-to-back basic marketing in 2010, which became a radio show on WOKB 1680 AM that connected him to the Orlando community and his extended family. Late in 2019, we lost a dear friend, a brother, and a community leader in his battle of pancreatic cancer. On December 22, 2019, he will as a man of laughs, controversy, tons of humor, and most of all, compassion for those who become his friends. Sophie G, please share a little bit more about Brian Ivy.
It is an honor and a privilege to have been asked to do this. Brian Ivy, as we affectionately knew him as, he was a champion. He was all that you said and more. He was a husband, a father, a brother to his biological siblings. He was a son. But to the rest of us, he was Brian. He was the voice. He was a champion in the community. Brian loved his Caribbean culture. Yeah, he was born on February 15th in Trelawney, Jamaica. He, as you said before, grew up, he migrated to the United States. He was raised in West Palm Beach with his mom, and eventually, he made Central Florida his home. He was passionate about loving people. His background was marketing, but he also loved to talk. He loved to talk so much to the point where He would talk you off the table. He would talk you under the ground. He would just talk even when you did not feel like talking. He would have you speaking. Brian was a loved one for many. He was part of the Caribbean diaspora in a positive way. He used his marketing expertise to tap into everybody's business personally by getting to know them. And then he was passionate also about helping entrepreneurs, small businesses to get themselves to the next level. He started B2B marketing, as you said earlier, but he used it in a way that was magnetic in attracting others. He really and truly reached out to the Caribbean diaspora in every way that he could possibly do to ensure that everybody was being seen somehow. A lot of you may see, if you go into any of the Caribbean stores or restaurants in Central Florida, you may see B2B marketing, the digital boards or the monitors that are in these restaurants, in these establishments. He saturated not just the Central Florida area, but from South Florida all the way to Atlanta and back. Brian was all that and a bag of chips. I met Brian, in 2014, early, when we were doing one of the Governor General's election. We were actually hosting a phone bank, and Brian was there and was supposed to be helping us to call and tap up on, canvassing and tap on petitioners. But for the entire time Brian was there, Brian was talking everybody in between phone calls. He was talking in between, had everybody cracking up, laughing. He was jovial. He was a businessman, but he was a very funny, loving person at heart. And he invited me to be a guest on his show, on the Back to Basic Radio show. And I did so. And right after the first show, he said, Sophie G, I want you to come be my co-host. And it was an honor. I sat with him every Saturday for 6 years. I was there with him when he had his diagnosis, right there in the room with him and his beautiful wife, Jillian, on that day in April 2018. And it was a very, very, very devastating day, of course, just hearing the news. But at the same time, Brian soaked it in. And he decided that he was going to use his voice and his platform to do what he did best. Continue to speak, continue to talk, continue to share. He was an open book. On this day that we celebrate and we acknowledge, warriors, survivors of this devious disease, Brian's passion until he took his last breath was to ensure that everybody that was in his voice, his hearing, would know the importance of going to get their annual checkups. And as we know that throughout the Caribbean diaspora, one of the things that's a stigma in our culture is to have a lackadaisical attitude about going to see the doctors, especially in our Black men. Brian ensured that he was that voice until he took his last breath. And I must say that subsequent to that, and even during that time while he was coming on with a weak voice, he spoke. And he had people who had been reluctant to going to the doctor from years, some of them 20 years, that had not gone to see a doctor, sending in messages saying, listen, Sophie G, Brian, we hear you. We've made an appointment. So on this day, while we acknowledge warriors and survivors, I just want to let you know that Brian was a hero, and is a hero to many right now. And I am grateful to have been asked to have the privilege of speaking a little bit about Brian, because he loved his Caribbean culture. He loved the diaspora. He loved what he did. And because he loved it so much, he used his breath to do everything he could do until he could not. Many people don't know that one of the things that's happening right now in the Central Florida, even right here tomorrow in Orlando, is the Jerk Festival. Brian was instrumental back in the days too. He was one of the founders of the Jerk Festival that started in West Palm Beach. And it's a staple on every memorial holiday. He was the staple, the 1/4 of the group that started Jerk Festival and also Island Gone Wild. He loved what he did. We love you. I am grateful to have been able to share the seat, the air chair with Brian Ivy. And on this day, I just want to say one thing that Brian always closed his show with every single day was the words of Theodore, Roosevelt. He said, in any given moment, the best thing you can do is the best thing. The next best thing you can do is the worst thing. But the absolute worst thing you can do is nothing. The best thing you can do is your best thing. The next best you can do is, just failing. But he did what he could do, and I'm very grateful. And I know that Jillian was supposed to be here to accept his award, and as he's an honoree, but I'm grateful to say I'm proud to be able to accept it on his behalf. Thank you so much, Ribbons of 365. Congratulations to doing what you do. And on behalf of Brian Ivy and his family, thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. Yeah, I know Brian for probably 12 plus years when I started my KO magazine, and he's always given me, inspiration and just uplifting. And many times I've called him and, needed his advice. He was always there. Of course, we get the jokes and the long lecture. And I was like, man, Brian, let me just ask you one question. But I'm so grateful. And, to this day, I truly miss him. He's one of a kind. He's a gem that, I love him, love him, love him. And I actually met him through you, Brian, met you through Brian,
Right.
And today, hey, my little bestie.
I love
So
you
he had
too.
a way of, connecting people, because I remember when you introduced me, it's like, man, you need to get to know Mia right here. This girl right here, you get to know her, so,
Yeah.
and I'm honored to be your friend as well. So our
Blessing.
next,
Okay.
thank you. Our next tribute is going to be Dottie Good. And she is known as the fighter. Her name is Dottie Big Mama Good, born in Lexington, Tennessee. Lady Q shared throughout the years she saw the strength in her as she continued to grow through adversity. She was diagnosed with lung cancer, and the doctors didn't give a time limit. To those who ask her about her lung cancer, she would reply, "Who? I don't have cancer. I don't know what you're talking about." In August 2021, Dottie went out with a fight as God received her back to Him. And this year, Dottie was to be one of our honorees for lung cancer. Even though she's gone, she will be greatly missed by her family and friends. Lady Q, please share a little bit about your grandmother.
Yes, thank you, Mia, Ribbons of Survivors. And this is actually harder than I thought it was going to be. First, I am going to give the message that my aunt just sent me for her mother. Um, and my aunt said yes. Mother was one of the strongest, loving, God fearing women I had the pleasure of knowing in my lifetime. And to go behind my aunt, my grandmother first was 89 years old. She lived a full life. She was full of life. So as grandchildren, we have called her Big Mama, and that's just a name passed down because her grandmother was called Big Mama. But she was truly that. She was a mother, not only to her children, her grandchildren, her great grandchildren. And so throughout the years, watching her, she was extremely strong. She was a strong woman. I would watch her, fight through adversity. I can't even say that I have really seen my grandmother cry. I can count on one hand how many times I've personally seen her cry. And so even up until the doctors diagnosing her, when the doctor said she had cancer, she did. She said, "Cancer, who? What's that? I don't have that." So watching her go through the process of having lung cancer, refusing the treatment, she was full of life even all the way through the process. 2 days before she passed, I went and I saw her, and she smiled at me with the biggest smile when I talked to her. And my grandmother within our family was one that, although she was short in height, because she stood about 5'1", she was great in stature. She was a powerful woman. She was a strong woman. She was a woman that spoke unity to her family. Her family being together meant everything to her. So oftentimes we would even gather, the grandchildren and her children would gather together for her birthday and certain holidays, and watch her laugh and watch her dance. She danced literally up until probably the month before she passed. She got out of the bed, and there's a video where her and my aunt was dancing, and my mother was recording it. And so it was definitely, for me personally, to see my grandmother go through this process. It was amazing. Watching her transition was absolutely beautiful, because a lot of people who go through the process of cancer, when they get down to the last month or so, or even before then, you watch them go through so much excruciating pain. I can tell you, my grandmother smiled, she laughed, she talked, she joked. It was a beautiful transition. And so for that, it just shows me even the more the strength that she had. And not only that, she was a woman of God that truly trusted God in everything that she did. So even again, when the doctor said she had cancer, her focus wasn't the cancer, her focus was God. And the fact of watching her, if I could just have a little bit of the faith that she even had and the strength that she had, going through any issue that I may go through coming forward, it lets me know that I can be an overcomer. And she was definitely, the legacy that she left for our family was definitely one of an overcomer, one of strength, one of greatness, um, one that had a larger than life personality when she entered the room, a smile that lit up a room, that touched your heart. She was warm, she was nurturing, she was loving. And so every child of hers, every grandchild, great grandchild, she touched, all the way to the deepest wells of their heart. And so I thank you for this tribute and honoring her in our family in this process, because it's still new to us. So a lot of us are still going through the grieving process, because it was only this August. And so for us, we're still growing through the process, but this right here was amazing. So thank you, Mia.
Oh, you're welcome, Lady Q. It's an honor to honor her and remember her legacy. Even though she's gone, she'll always be remembered with that. So I'd like to introduce a very dear friend of mine that I've known for many, many, many years. And, and every time I reach out to her to ask her, hey, can you help me with this? Whatever, she's like, I got you. I got you. So I want to say thank you to Miss Lima Dunbar. I'm going to share a special message from her, and then after that, she's going to sing a song dedicated to the honorees this evening.
Hi, this is Lima Dunbar, and I am the host of the People's Chat Room, which is a Saturday talk show live on iTunes Radio, and we can be heard in rebroadcast mode on Soca Passion TX and IslandBeatRadio.net. I'm also the editor-in-chief of iTunes Entertainment Magazine, which is a quarterly online magazine or a quarterly online digital magazine. And I'm, by profession, a clinical therapist. That one gets a lot of people, yeah. I would like to welcome all the honorees to the 3rd Annual Warriors of Hope and Courage virtual celebration. We should all be encouraged by each and every one of you because your life's journey has brought you here to this moment in time. And in a way, we are all survivors. And, you know, I lost 3 family members to cancer. My stepfather, Philip Dunbar, my brother, Winston Dunbar, and most recently, my loving brother-in-law, Mr. Selwyn Sobers. We loved, can't get over that last one, even though it's still really fresh in our minds because we lost him Christmas Eve of 2020, and we're still processing it. We are all survivors, whether it's mental health, domestic violence, sickle cell, cancer. I mean, shoot, we all survived COVID-19 thus far. And let's, just, keep doing what we need to do with regards to that. But again, this is your night, you, the honorees. And I say to each and every one of you, congratulations. I've been so many places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs, I've made some bad rhymes. I've acted out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching. We're alone and I'm singing this song to you. I know your image of me is what I hope to be. I've treated you unkindly, darling, can't you see? There's no one more important to me. Baby, can you see through me? We're alone and I'm singing this song to you. You taught me precious secrets of a true love withholding nothing. You came out in front and I was hiding. Now I'm so much better, and if my words don't come together, listen to the melody, 'cause my love isn't there hiding. Hey, yeah, I love you in a place where there's no space or time. I love you, for in my life you're a friend of mine. And when the light is over, remember when we were together. We're alone and I'm singing this song to
Thank you so much, Lima, for those inspiring words and that beautiful song. We'll hear another song from Lima later on in the show, but you guys can all catch Lima. She is the founder and producer and host of the People's Chat Room. You can tune in every Saturday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. on iTunesRadio.com and streaming live on Facebook at the People's Chat Room. Also simulcast on Sundays from 2 to 4 on IslandBeatRadio.net. Again, Lima is the editor-in-chief of iTunes Entertainment Magazine. You can visit online at iTunes, iChunesEnt magazine.com. Again, thank you, Lima. And now we will move to our keynote speaker. Tonight, Attorney Aramis Alaire. She is an award-winning civil rights advocate, cancer survivor, and former Florida state attorney who has dedicated her life to pursue of justice. As the first Florida Black state attorney and a fierce opponent of the death penalty, she has made local and national headlines for her courage and proven leadership. In 2017, she received the NAACP Civil Rights Champion of Justice Award and was recently named an Agent of Change in the cover story for the American Bar Association Journal. This year, she was just named the Champion Justice by Harbor House of Central Florida for her work in the fight against domestic violence. Aramis, welcome to Glow 365.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you all so very much. In hearing the beginning of that, you may be able to imagine that I have been on stages, I have met with people, but it is very, very, very different when you're meeting with people who understand the difference between life and living. And that's a different concept, because so often we get caught up in who's next, who lives here, what's the next job, and who's winning this office and who's taking over here. The bottom line is there is no politics in death. There is no money in death. When you are a warrior, when you are a survivor, that's all you know. It is in your DNA, and that is how I function. When I was asked to speak, I wanted to get on this whole idea of, we're past surviving and we're thriving. And I wanted to talk about that because that is a part of the story. But in true fashion of who I am, I would neglect the truth if I didn't admit that there is a cycle that goes back and forth from surviving to thriving, back to surviving to thriving, and we go through it. So I want to share with my sisters and brothers tonight that it is about understanding and embracing the cycle. See, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, but in the end, I want to share a couple of nuggets that let us know that it is okay not to always be thriving, because we are still living. And it is about building that war chest for the next rise, for the next time that we are thriving, understanding that the more momentum we have when we get to the top of the mountain, we get through that valley faster. And that's what it's all about, is having those nuggets. And that's what I want to share. We all have our stories of survivorship. For me, I was in law school. And I'm telling you, I was living that Cosby kid life. Parents, living life and living large. I was the class president, in charge, homecoming court, all the stuff that mattered. I went to University of Michigan, graduated with a political science degree, moved on to University of Detroit's law school, and I was rolling, right? I was cute, I was fly, I was a leader, I was doing everything. And then it hit. I was in my second year of law school, and I had a tumor that was growing, come to find out, at 25% every 24 hours. When I made it into the ER, I was suffocating. You could hear me gasping for air, and they had to do the emergency tracheotomy just so that I could make it through the night. When I went into the ER, that's when life hit, and it let me know as much control as I thought I had, as much skill set, smart looks, and all the stuff. None of that mattered when I was on that bed. None of that mattered when I had all the tubes going in and out of me and when they were writing a protocol of how I was going to survive. That is when my perspective in life began to change. Because that was at 24. I am now 46. And my perspective on life, like all of us, is still evolving. I say lightly, if you haven't changed in the last 10 years, then you haven't grown. And if you haven't grown, I question your ability to still survive and thrive. So for us, most of us, we're continuing to grow. But at that point, I had changed. I had started the eternal change. I had started, and I went in there not knowing. I'm thinking to myself, cancer. I remember being transferred from one hospital, from the ER where they did the tracheotomy, to Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa. And I remember passing the sign and reading cancer. And that was the moment I said, I have cancer. That I had the tracheotomy, trying to survive. And then I remember being on such heavy doses of chemotherapy where I was inpatient for 6 and 7 days, taking experimental medications. One, I remember they came in before they started the protocol. They said, write your signature. And I'm like, well, I'm not famous. What do you want me to write my signature for, right? And it was a sheet of paper. And they said, no, we need you to write your signature because there are neurological impacts of what we're going to be feeding into your body. And we know that the neurological impacts are happening when your signature changes. So they needed to monitor that. I realized that not only the lining of my mouth was coming out, not only was the skin I was losing, I was counting 3, 4 eyelashes, right? Eyebrows not existent, hair non-existent. The fun part, not shaving, right? Didn't have to worry about that. But the truth is, I still was struggling in my physical appearance. I still was struggling that life I thought I had and that I was holding on so hard for was not the one that God had for me. There was something bigger, but I had to go through and navigate what this chapter was all about. So after I finished the chemo, after having sat out of law school for a year, I was ready to go back and finish because everybody had already graduated. Their life had begun, and I was still trying to finish. And in the middle of that, guess what? The side effects of the chemo and steroids. I had to have both of my hips replaced and learn how to walk again twice. So now I have 2 gaps because I'm still thinking, the professional resume. I have 2 gaps on my resume that I'm not ready to tell an employer that I have a disability. If one, it looks like I just stopped going to law school because then you don't say, hey, cancer, dealing with chemo. And then I had another one because I had my hips replaced and I had to postpone the bar examination twice. But when I finished, I can tell you that my life was forever changed. I finished the chemo. I finished the hip replacements, learned how to walk again. I passed the Florida bar the first time, and I began prosecuting with the dreams that I had of being a prosecutor since the 5th grade, and then ultimately elected the first Black state attorney in the state of Florida. So when people question me about how I think and why I do things, understand, just like you, there are different spectacles. There's a different goal in mind that has to do with things that are bigger than us because of the value of life. So in the end, I'm still surviving 20 some years later. But what I want to share before I stop is just 3 little things. And the first one, and this goes for all of us, it's okay not to always thrive. When we tell our story of survival, so many people are prepared to, share with us and hold us up on this pedestal, and it perpetuates this inconsistent and actually untrue rhetoric that we're not always okay. So it is okay not to be okay. It's a part of the life cycle that everyone has to go through. We have escaped death, but we didn't escape life. Right? So this is a part of life, not always being on the high. The reality is it keeps us humble. And most importantly, it keeps us in touch with others who are surviving. If we're always thriving and then there's others down here who haven't really experienced it, there's people right in the middle who are surviving. And there are times we need to be able to look them in their eyes, encourage them, help them through, be a rock for them, help guide them and all the things that they need, because that's what we needed. People often say, don't give what you didn't have, be who you didn't have. Though that's much more important for people who are trying to survive. So it's okay not to thrive because you are much more available for those who are also surviving. And it helps them be inspired. And then you begin to thrive together. The key is to make certain that on those lows, when you go back down to surviving and not thriving, that level always increases. Our lowest may be low, but each time our lowest should be higher. And most importantly, we got to remember that there's seed time and harvest time. For us to thrive, we have to be in the place where we're sowing and we're doing the things that we need to do because we have a different perspective. We have different tools. We approach life in a different way. When you have looked death in the eye, I don't care whether it's as close as I was 24 hours from death or just the idea of it being very real in your life. You understand your mortality is real. You understand that there is work to be done and there's only a certain amount of time to finish it. Number two, in addition to it being okay not to always thrive, it is okay not to be understood. You know, so often we think to ourselves that no one understands me. That's okay. That's part of being chosen. That's part of being different. It is okay to not be understood. Strive to be accepted just as you are, not necessarily understood. Because when you have a different calling on your life, when you have a different trajectory, it is not for others to understand. It is for you to understand, to stay locked in to your creator, for you to stay locked into God's purpose on your life and thrive the way that you need to ultimately thrive. The reality is that when you give grace to people for not understanding, it opens up the door to understanding. It's one of those mysteries that we read about that you don't even understand how love multiplies, how grace can multiply, and you just sow those things. And the third and final thing that I want to share with you all is that nothing that has happened or will happen can change the purpose in our lives. Nothing. We are set on a trajectory of success. The time that we have here on this earth and the things that happen while we're here is simply, those things are simply created to help us get to where we need to get. We're shedding pieces, right? We're growing, we're churning, and we're becoming that diamond. Diamonds don't become diamonds because they aren't held in darkness, because they're not chipped away at. You are a diamond. We are diamonds, and we have to make certain that we're not in the rough. We're available, shining above ground, and ready to be treated as the diamonds that we are. So the reality is there's nothing that can detour us in our purpose. That may delay the destination, but the destination is always there. And most importantly, this is all part of the process. So in closing, I just want us to say, to all remember, we got to embrace the journey. Embrace it with grace. Embrace it with boldness, embrace it with humility, embrace it with faith, but most importantly, embrace it with love. Embrace it with God's love and walk in love at all times. I love you, my sisters. I love your fight. I love your strength. And I too will rock and roll with you. God bless you all.
Amen.
Oh, thank you so much, Aramis. Wow. Got chills. Whew. And I truly can relate to, what you said, as a 21-year breast cancer survivor, that people expect us to be thriving all the time, that knowing that, hey, we have good days, we have bad days, and we just continue, and it's okay, yes, that we're not feeling good today. I take that day as my Mia day. That I don't want to answer no phone calls. I don't want to see social media. I'm just being Mia. I'm watching Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and trying to recharge myself. But we keep going with that. I want to say a special thank you to another sponsor, which is Quayle Works. Kuchiteli Cooge, which I know him as in Friends, Quayle, is the founder of Quayle Works, which is an educational institute dedicated to speaking universal truths and defining principles that show people how to reach their potentials, empower themselves, and to achieve their dreams in a manner that creates a better world. We teach primarily through empowering talks, experimental learning workshops, webinars, and television programs custom designed for the staff and target audience. The idea is to help empower institutions and people to create a platform they need to execute their dreams. To learn more about Quayle Works, please visit online at Quayle Works, that's KWELIWORKS.com. And I'm so proud to be a part of Quayle Works, an empowerment speaker. And they're also some of my co-producers for some of the shows, my Glow show, and also for these shows that I'm doing here. And Cooch, he's behind the scene as my technical director. So Cooch, thank you for helping out there. Another community partner is Sisters Network Inc. was founded in 1994 by Karen Eubank Jackson in Houston, Texas. Sisters Network is a leading voice and only national African American survivorship organization in the United States. It is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The Orlando chapter of Sisters Network is devoted to bringing awareness to breast cancer to the African American community of Central Florida. The Sisters Network Orlando chapter is committed to fight breast cancer through education and by advocating annual mammograms and monthly self-breast examination. Their outreach efforts to promote early detection of breast cancer compels us to seek women in hair salons, churches, health fairs, sororities, schools, and civic groups. They work closely with medical and the community partners, and I'm also proud to be a member of the Orlando Sisters Network. Now we are going to move on to our next segment and talking a little bit up and close personal with some of the honorees. So I want to start with one of my dear friends, Dr. Reverend Karen Green. Karen?
Good evening, blessings, my fellow survivors. My sister Aramis, thank you for your inspiration and your sermon. I think you were speaking this evening divinely guided, and I'm so blessed. I've long respected you, but this evening I have a new sistership that was just experienced. And I thank you for your dedication, your determination, and for the fact that you accepted the not only were you appointed, but you were anointed. Amen. Good afternoon,
Amen.
my fellow sisters and my dear sister Mia. You know, I've seen the struggle and I've seen the strength. Thank you so much for all you've done. Thank you for the inspiration and for the sisters who have been long supportive of you. You know, I heard you say it earlier. I too met you through Brian Ivy almost 10 years ago. And Brian's legacy, we've all said it before, was indelible and eternal. Thank you again for accepting and recognizing myself and the others in this awarding capacity this evening. This afternoon, I am here in a capacity not in any other realm of appointment or any other position, but because the Lord saw fit amongst my siblings to give me the experience. Whatever his reason was, we can't understand sometimes, but the Lord knows what's best. I can't imagine anyone else in my family who probably would have been able to have gone through hearing at 25 years old that you have uterine cancer. And so I'm here today after almost 27 years to say that God's purpose is purposeful. And to thank him for having given me that opportunity to not only walk the journey, but to be able to tell the story. Today, my father was his birthday. He would have been 84 years old on the 23rd of October. He too died of cancer, multiple myeloma, something we never knew of. Misdiagnosed for what we thought was a degenerating spinal injury. It turned out that my dad was dying of cancer at 69 years old. Let me say this. One of the reasons I think I'm so passionate, folks ask me, why do you get up every day doing this? It is because I know that God promises that wisdom and knowledge would increase. And I am hopeful, especially right now in a country where people now see that science is not a ridicule of anybody's idiotic ideologies, but that God promised us that he would advance wisdom and knowledge so that we could still find a cure for cancer. I am hopeful, especially these days within the last 2 years. And you're all going to say you don't bring politics into this, but I can say this in an aligned thought process that knowing that the current president we have in Joe Biden, he too had seen the loss of his own son dying of cancer. And one of the commitments he made in his leading into his presidential cycle was that he was going to see how best we could advance the study of cancer research. Today, my sisters on this call and my brothers in our hearing, particularly to our Caribbean brothers, we have a culture of, as Brian would say, naga doctor. But there is almost a sociological, cultural denial of men in our society. Keep in mind, this is Breast Cancer Month, but remember, folks, that men also get breast cancer. Understand too that one of the leading causes of death in our society is prostate cancer within our men. And we don't talk about it because it's almost taboo. Today, I'm taking this opportunity, like Brian would say, to just point out to our brothers, please, brothers, our Caribbean brothers, go get tested. Brian died of pancreatic cancer, which is one of the most intense cancers. And it's usually not diagnosed until pretty late in an advanced stage. I want to use this evening, not just to recognize and to accept this award, but to also say to us that cancer, we recognize different months for different tributes and recognition. And as much as we sit here in our pink and colors this evening, recognizing the struggles of women who have gone through breast cancer, the horrors, but there's also a survival story, as my sister Aramis said. It's been 27 years for me. And many of us have managed to make it through. But early detection, early diagnosis is genuinely the reason and the only way we get to this point. And so I'm encouraging you all today. I know that many of us in the state of Florida and across this country have had the challenge of not having health insurance for early diagnosis. And that's a big part of our struggle. That many people just can't get to the doctors because they're fearful. And when they eventually get to the hospital, it's too late. These are the reasons why I push and fight to see how we could get affordable health care and to see how we can find a way of extending Medicaid extending Medicaid. I'm asking, appealing to those in our hearing who can ask this governor to help save lives for those folks who just need to have health insurance to go get checked. Mia, I'm so honored to be here this afternoon to not only tell my story, which I'm so blessed that you were able to share it in this month's magazine. My cancer happened at an early age. A young mother, not knowing what would happen next. But God had a reason and a purpose. He actually allowed me to go through that struggle, to be able to sit here today, not just with a story, but with a testimony that God is able. Each person has a purpose in this life. Each of us are assigned a responsibility to not just look at ourselves, but to be a testimony that through all things, God is in the midst. He's allowed us to live and to light and to give to this evening. This evening, for example, I look at the faces of all of us. I see my sister, my beautiful sister here, who's always here. Pam, you're here. I see all the beautiful, loving, supportive family members here. Nothing in life happens without a reason. Nothing in life happens without a purpose. And we're all here this evening, not as struggling survivors, but as purposeful, living, fighting, struggling women who will continue to do our work. And I just want to thank not only each of you listening this evening, but each of you across this country, each person to recognize that God's will is purposeful. We've lost so many, but the task is simple. Let us continue to live and show life those who today are living with the note of hearing. This morning, I was sharing with Sophia, another friend of mine was diagnosed and told she only had less than a year to live. And in reading her note today, a beautiful soul, and she also has chronicled her journey. She said today, I don't want to hear about death. Today I choose life, and I am going to live it. Every single day and minute and hour I have, I'm going to live and do the best I can. And so I encourage you all in our hearing this evening. We're here as supporters. Tap into each of us here to guide you, to be your support. And more than anything else, do not lose faith. Do not lose hope. God is able. He's purposeful. Amen. And he's still in the miracle business. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Green. Yes, we go way back, and I love you always check on me, and I vice versa, and we just keep going. We find our strength, from God, and keep doing what we're doing. So thank you. What you do as a community leader, as an advocate, as a political analyst, everything that you do in our community, and just bringing awareness, and for women and everyone, and instill, the culture and how important it is to go out and vote. So thank you for being here and being one of our honorees this evening. And for those of you who would like to read Dr. Green's story, please visit online at kuomagazine.com. Click on the magazine tab, and it is the current issue, which is a September, October, November 2021 issue. She's got an amazing story. Now we're going to move to our next honoree, which is Meryl. Meryl is a domestic violence survivor. Meryl?
Hi, Mia.
Hi. I want to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
As a domestic violence survivor, how have you been able to overcome to get to a place of healing?
Well, every single day, Mia, I worked on it and worked on it. It has been like it's about 16 years now. But the strength of my children and the encouragement that I get from family and friends keeps me going every single day. Personally, I love to exercise and work out. That's my one-on-one time. That's my time for myself. Love working out, love being outside, love spending time with family and friends. That keeps me going.
Awesome. And, Meryl, for those who are watching, she is the host and executive producer for Let's Talk About It, Candid Conversation show that comes on every Tuesday at 6 p.m. And she's also one of KO Magazine's inspiring author, journalist. My second question to you, Meryl, what 3 lessons have you learned on your journey to healing, finding peace, and happiness from within?
Number 1, Mia, is just taking my time on who I let into my space. Being very, very careful with the men I let into my space. Not only for myself, but also for my children. A lot of times people seem to forget about their children. Children are listening. They are watching, they are paying attention, and I don't want them to see what happened to me with their father, to see that take place again. So I'm very, very careful on who I let in my space.
Thank you. Now, could you also share some words of encouragement for those who have lost their hope and believe that they can't escape from domestic violence or being abused?
Yes, definitely. Words of encouragement are never let someone tell you that you're not enough. You are a queen and you need to be treated as one. And for the men, you are a king and you need to be treated as one. Get out now. Get out now. If you are in a domestic violence relationship, whatever it may be, get out now. And let's always remember, it starts with us. Let's break that generational curse. Let's break it. That's
Yes,
my
definitely. Thank you so much. Also, briefly share your contributions, efforts to bring awareness and assist, to others to impact health and awareness causes.
Yes, definitely. Well, one of the main things that I do along with my sister is we have this talk show. And that talk show, what it does is it features a panel of unspoken topics that are taboo in the community, topics that need to be discussed, needs to be talked about. One of them, of course, is domestic violence. The other is mental health, self-love, self-worth, health and wellness. We speak on all the topics that are taboo that people do not want to talk about. I encourage everyone, please open up. That's the first start to healing. Open up and share what is happening with you, because I promise you it's happening to someone else. Reach out and help.
Yes, definitely. We have to, remove that stigma
Correct.
of that, because, being from the Caribbean community and even African American, we don't
Yes.
talk about those things. We don't share those things, and all that gets bottled up inside, and we don't know what to do or how to heal. And, it's okay to seek help and to talk to friends and,
Correct.
get to that point of healing. We just did a show on love languages, and, one of the questions I was sharing, that for somebody who has, been a victim of domestic violence, is like, how do you get to that point where you feel comfortable, to be able to touch and kiss? Because, when that person goes to touch you, even though it's a loving touch, we tend to flinch,
Right.
that. So, how did you get to that point where you felt comfortable to accept, the compassion of some love languages?
It took a lot, Mia. It really did. It took a lot for me to let my guard down, to let just drop my shoulders. Then I met this wonderful man that accepted me for who I am, and he made it easy. It was at my pace. He made it easy. He made it comfortable, but it took a long, long time, because the guards stay up, because you get scared thinking that, is this person going to hurt me? Is this person going to, am I going to be abused by this person? So it takes a lot. It took a lot.
Thank you so much, Meryl. And, it was an honor 2 years ago. I was on the Candid Conversation show and
Yes,
to
you
share
are.
my breast cancer story. And I just love what you ladies are doing and just bringing awareness with all the guests that you have on there. So, and what you do in the community as a community leader. Thank you so much. And thank you for
Thank
being
you,
one
Mia.
of our honorees this year to represent
And
domestic violence.
thank you so much for putting this together. This is very important. People need to see this. People need to see that people that have gone through things that are not so nice are being honored like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we have next Dr. Pam Powell. Dr. Powell, or Dr. Reverend Pam Powell. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. You do so many things that it's too numerous to even mention. Please share just a little brief about what you do before I'm going to ask you a few questions afterwards.
Absolutely. I am just honored to be here. Mia, I just want to thank you for all that you do in supporting survivors from every arena. I certainly congratulate all the survivors that are here, and we certainly honor those that have gone on to be with the Lord. And certainly that was a powerful message from attorney Aramis Ayala. But what I just want to say, that I am a pastor of Pan Powell International Ministries. I have my online global church. I also serve on the ministerial staff at St. Mark AME. I am a motivational speaker, author, television, radio, talk show host, life coach, financial coach. I do a little bit about everything, but I tell you today, I'm just honored to be alive because, like someone said earlier, we're here for a reason, for God to allow us to still be on this earth. Romans 8:28 says all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So all of us that are survivors have a reason to still be here. We have to go from pain to purpose.
Awesome. I want to ask you a few questions. 16 years ago, you were first diagnosed with breast cancer. Then in 2020, the words no one wants to hear, no woman wants to ever hear again, you have cancer has returned. Briefly share how it has impacted your life and where do you draw strength from?
Well, when I listened to Aramis' story, I was at the prime of my life. I was traveling the world doing great things.
Let me know when Maria.
I'm sorry. Hello?
No. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But the bottom line is I was enjoying my life in the prime of my life, traveling around, speaking on stages to 50,000 people, helping people build businesses. I had traveled to Paris. I mean, we won to Hawaii 7 or 8 times, just living my life. Me and my husband had our dream home, dream everything, helping people. And all of a sudden, a pimple showed up under my arm. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought it was a hair follicle. My husband said, well, go to the doctor. To make a long story short, I went to the doctor. He said it's probably just an infection. And sure enough, they found out I had breast cancer. I was totally devastated. I left there crying, believing I was going to die. And my husband kept saying to me, where is your faith? Where's your faith? You got to declare you're going to live and not die. So my whole life changed. I went through a whole lot. I ended up having to sell my business. My whole life changed through going through breast cancer. But at that particular time in 2020, I was a 16-year survivor. But during the pandemic, my husband and I had just gotten over his death. He died unexpectedly with a heart ailment. And several months later, here comes breast cancer the second time. I was totally wiped out, devastated. I was saying, God, come on now. My husband just died. I had breast cancer before. I've been declaring it won't ever come back. And boy, oh boy, I was faced with the trial. And I had to make a decision as to whether I was going to get depressed about it or fight about it. So guess what I did? I remembered my first ordeal. I put into my brain the things my husband had taught me to do before. As a pastor, he said, baby, we're going to fight through this. So I started putting my boxing gloves on again. And I told the devil we were going to knock him out. We were going to go out there and win the fight. Went through it in November, came out of it in 2021. And you know what? My mess has become my message, that we're going to knock breast cancer out. And through all of that, I've been able to be a spokesperson for the American Cancer Society, lead the parade, walk with thousands of women. And you know, one of my problems was I didn't get a mammogram. I missed 2 years without a mammogram. I would have known early on, but praise be to God, I'm here to educate women. Please get your mammogram. 1 out of 8 women will be diagnosed. I think already 286,000 women have been diagnosed with breast cancer, and several will die. Men get that too, but we need to go out there and make sure we get those mammograms. That's one lesson I learned from this ordeal, and to never give up the fight, because a winner never quits and a quitter never wins.
Thank you so much. I actually met you maybe about 4 years ago at Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. You were on that stage just dancing and everything. I mean, you was like decked out, the energy flow. I was just like, who is this woman? I need to know who she is, you know. And I think we briefly met, said hello and stuff like that, and just, you know, continued, you know, communication, friendship and stuff. But thank you so much for your energy. One last thing, briefly share your contribution and efforts as you bring awareness and assistance to others impacted to the health and awareness cause.
Well, when I look at my life, whenever we go through something in life, okay, don't pain, no gain. There's a purpose. My principles of the P factor evolved from the breast cancer. My 7P factor says be positive, be passionate, be persistent, be patient, be prayerful, be powerful, and you'll be prosperous. That message created a radio show where I could talk to people about getting mammograms. My contribution became Hope. I became the Hope Doctor from that. My whole brand from TV and radio became a contribution to go out and understand that the following principles, the P factor principles that I followed to come through breast cancer would apply to any situation to help people to overcome obstacles and experience the thrill of victory rather than the agony of defeat. I made donations. I prepared television shows to make awareness. I've spoken for the American Cancer Society. I've went to churches. I've gone to events. I have promoted breast cancer awareness throughout the country. So my contribution is to make sure that we know that all we got to do is continuously get those mammograms, never give up our hope, because I tell folk my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and his righteousness. And I congratulate, I salute every survivor, because you have gone through something to be something. And in order to be something in life, you got to go through something. Praise God. I thank him. I thank my caregivers, my husband who's deceased, and my beautiful daughter, and even my puppy for being a caregiver. But I thank God that I'm alive, and I'm going to remain able to give others the testimony of hope in America. God bless you. Thank you again for all that you do, Mia Allman. We appreciate you. May God bless you and continue to smile upon you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Powell, and thank you for being one of our honorees for Ribbons of Survivors 365. Right now, I want to take a moment and thank another one of our community partners, and she will be on in just a moment, but I want to share a bit about her product. Maria Mixon, aka Ria Molly, is the founder of Wellness Matters, that includes the tea company, not just a tea company, meal preparation and beverage, Three Brothers, which is a skin and body essential for men, and water. Ria is also our 2019 Ribbons of Survivors 365 Cervix and Ovarian Cancer Ambassador. And she is KO Magazine Beauty 411 skincare journalist. Ria, welcome to Ribbons of Survivors. You have a special message you'd like to share?
Hello, ladies. It was a pleasure listening. You know, you all have such a great testimony, such beautiful souls. And, you know, I pray that God continues to bless you and to use you, and his, you know, his hand on life and in your family's life. Because I do know how it is living with something that, you know, I don't have a fear of it, but when you're a survivor, you also have other things like autoimmune diseases. So we do have to deal with different things that comes into our bodies after cancer. So, you know, I commend everyone for having the strength and even to do things like this within the community. Today, I was walking at the Alzheimer's walk because my mom passed away from Alzheimer's in 2009. And I remember being sick. and taking care of. And so every year I walk with my head up high, and it helps me to heal. And so that's why I'm dressed like this today. So I wanted to offer some gifts from my companies, and I forgot who said it, but I heard something along the lines of, when we go through things, we have to, allow it to use us, right? So that's where all my companies came from. And I do want to bless 3 women. And the first prize is a 20 shoot or shot photo shoot. So it's 20 shots photo shoot. And the second one is a 30-minute wellness consult. The third one is a starter skin care kit. So you'll have your cleanser, your toner, your serum, your moisturizer. So the way you're eligible to get it is the first 3 people to email Ria Malley at iCloud.com. You have to include the code ROS365. And the first one will get the first prize, the second one, the second, and so on. Again, is Ria Malley, RIAMALI at iCloud.com. Please include your full name, your mobile number, so that I can schedule an appointment so that I can give you your gift and also set up your appointment. So that's what I would like to give to you ladies. And I did want to share a couple of things, Mia. I'm not going to be lengthy tonight because, this is your night, ladies, to honor you. I just want to be that person to say, continue to be the healthiest version of yourself. We can have things like we could live with rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't mean we can't be our healthiest version. We have to be the healthiest so that when things do hit us, flares do come, and I'm sure all you know about flares. I know I do. And when we take care of ourselves, when we do have flares, it allows us to not have a lot of downtime. So it's super, super important for us to be the healthiest version of ourselves. I do seminars all over. So one thing I always ask people is, what are your goals? And a whole bunch of people, they share their goals. And then afterwards, I let them know that your goals are nothing unless you're well. We can't do anything unless we're well. So I hear a lot of people saying, I want to do this, and I want my businesses to do that, but you're not taking care of yourself. To me, that's just a contradiction. So I'm just encouraging everyone, to take care of yourself more than anybody else, because we're women. So we take care of the family first, right? And let me tell you, I'm a pastor's wife, so I know how that goes. We take care of the family, and then us when last. We can't do that. We can take care of them and take care of us too. We can't put ourselves on the side saying, I'll take care of me later. No, because they need us, right? So we have to take care of ourselves. So along with being a wellness coach, if you do get that gift, I'll give you many, many tips on being the healthiest version of you. And I want to leave you with a reminder. It's a scripture, and that's 3 John chapter 1, verse 2. It says, Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. Remember that.
Thank you so much, Ria, and thank you for all that you do in the community as a community leader and just keeping us all healthy and educating us. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Good night.
Now
Adrian.
we'll move. Good night. We'll now move on to our next honoree, and that is Ruby. She is host and executive producer for Let's Talk About It, Candid Conversation show. She's an advocate, and she is also one of KO Magazine inspiring authors, journalists, and I just thank her so much for being here. Ruby.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for honoring me and the other honorees, Mia.
Thank you. And she is also a survivor of mental illness. I wanted to share, ask you a couple of questions. How has going from mental illness to mental illness impacted your life and becoming an advocate in all what you do?
Well, it's impacted my life daily because it gives me anxiety, panic attacks. I have negative self-talk, doubt, fear, depression, but thank God therapy has helped me put a lot of these things into perspective. I've been unknowingly having mental health issues for 37 years before finding out that I have 4 mental health disorders.
What is your self-care regimen that you do on a regular basis to, maintain peace of mind, mental wellness on days that are not so good?
Well, daily devotional. I love to wake up to gospel music. I love music that helps relax me. Exercise, walking, retail therapy, manicure, pedicure, journaling, just to name a few.
Awesome. Now, as an advocate, how can we remove the stigma that, seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but to get to a place of mental wellness?
By talking about it. And we say this every week on our show. We have to continue to talk about it, raise awareness, eradicate the stigma that's associated with it, because in our culture, we do not want to talk about these hard issues, whether it's health, mental health, domestic violence. We do not want to talk about these issues, and it's important for us to continue the conversation, normalize it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being one of our Ribbons of Survivors mental health honorees this year. And now we'll move on to Shamar. He was diagnosed with sickle cell disease, and he's one of our honorees, an advocate, part of his mother that has kids conquering sickle cell. Shamar, how has having sickle cell impacted your life and now becoming an advocate for that to help other young youths like yourself?
You kind of have to just adjust to it. You kind of have to just live around the disease. There's times where I kind of have to distance myself because I can get sick by things as little as going into the pool or going out in cold weather. So I just have to really just live around it and really just be cautious on what I do.
Thank you so much. On days that are not so good, where do you draw strength from to get through it?
Usually just by family and friends. I tried a lot of things to kind of cope with it, but I realized that just having others around me really is really the best thing for me.
What words of encouragement can you share to someone that is battling sickle cell and just doesn't have the fight to keep going? What would you say to that youth?
Just try to be healthy, drink a lot of water, probably listen to music, and just have just good people around you to help you get through.
Thank you so much, Shmar. Now I want to go back to, before we close out the show, and again, thank you each and every one of you, honorees, our guest. Just going back to the beginning, let's start with Carla. Any final words you'd like to share before we go?
Sure. It was a complete honor to actually be here today. And each and every time I listen to the stories of warriors that have overcome and that are battling certain illness, I gain so much strength. And I want you to know that your stories all impact lives. Keep sharing them. Your stories and your advocacy makes a difference. Keep sharing your stories and keep fighting. You are all impacting lives in everything that you do. There's so many of you that have taken the opportunity to share in conversations, be an advocate, voice for those that have lost someone, those that are continuing to share the stories of others because they have impacted their lives. We all can make a difference. This is a time that our Black and Brown community really need to join together and continue to make an impact so that research can continue to be done and cures can come forth for these very illnesses that are affecting our Black and Brown communities. And someone mentioned having healthcare as the simplest thing for a screening. Let's continue to make our voice heard on Capitol Hill. Let's continue to talk to our legislators, the one we voted office that's representing us, and letting them hear our story. I remember as a little girl when my mom was first diagnosed with cancer, and we were walking to the grocery store, and she had the grooming task of taking me and my sister to the grocery store and just sharing with us that the test that she took now requires her to be hospitalized for cancer treatment. I remember my reaction at 16 years old, growing up in a household of Christian parents. And I said, God, I trust you. With tears in my eyes, knowing what that word cancer meant when she said I have cancer, and not being able to express myself the way I wanted to walk into a grocery store. But today, through our actions and through our voice, I am now the little girl that have grown up to a mother to be an advocate and a mother of a sickle cell warrior and a mother of a child, my first daughter, that has a rare kidney disorder that affects our Black and Brown community. It has become real to me that our voice matters. Continue to fight. Continue the good fight of sharing your stories. You are a representation of resilience. And I want to encourage you that everyone that you even meet, just continue to encourage them. They may not even have the same battle as you, but continue to encourage them that even if they know someone or they've been impacted by someone's life, impacted by a illness that's affecting our community, we have to let our voices be heard. so everyone could get screening, so everyone can have access to treatment, so everyone can have access to simple, basic screenings that can save lives. Let's continue to do our part. I thank you, and I'm so honored. Congratulations to each and every one of you tonight. Thank you so much, and I'm privileged to be here. And thank you, Mia, for your work. I can't thank you enough for just being my friend and learning on this journey just how much of an impact that you have made to the lives that you touch by just simply loving on them and touching them through the resources and through the various conversations that you have for education and awareness. This is heart taking for me. And to our honorable Amayas, I just thank her for her words and encouragement today. They certainly have touched me. And I'm just thankful for each and every one of you here today. Thank you for all your work. That survivor of mental illness, continue to bring awareness in domestic violence. Our voice matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla. Ugh, got me having tears here. Ooh, I promised I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to cry. Lady Q.
I mean, Carla said it all. So it is definitely an honor and a privilege to be a part of this, to be able to accept the tribute on my family's behalf, to be able to hear the stories of the honorees, the guest speaker. And I can't even stress, even no more than Carla already stressed, but to continue to tell your stories, because there are people out there in families who don't talk about the illnesses, the diseases, and the issues. And so when we look through history and someone passed in the family, they would sweep it under the carpet and would say, well, grandma was sick, and they didn't talk about it. So now we're moving forward to a day and age where people are starting to talk more about what's out there, not only what's going on inside the body when they're dealing with diseases and illnesses, but also what's out there so that they can get their healing, whether through natural medicine or having to go into doctors and receiving that type of medicine. And so I cannot urge you enough. Those of you, and I'm talking to the viewers, those of you who have family members that you see going through certain things, don't sweep it under the carpet. Don't ignore what's going on with your body. Don't ignore when your body is starting to talk to you and tell you that something is wrong. Instead of being scared, not going to the doctor, run to the doctor to find out what it is, because the sooner you find out, the sooner you get the screening, the sooner whatever that issue is can be taken care of. There are so many of us, especially in our community, that have lost their lives to something where if they would have went to the doctor, they would have been saved. And so we have to continue to talk more. We have to continue to share stories. We have to continue to tell of the resources that are out there, and that things get updated, to continue to share those as well. We have to continue to tap into the communities that need help. And so again, even in this process, because a lot go through fear, not only the person is going through the issue in their body, but also the families and the extension of who they are around them. And so for that, I encourage you to tap into God and allow God to be your guide, to show you which way to go, allowing not yourself to allow doubt to live inside of you. Because what a lot of us don't understand is that when we function in fear and when we function in depression, that begins to feed the illness that's in the body. So when you stay in a place of your faith and you stay in a place of allowing yourself to enjoy life even through the process, you're going to have some ups and some downs, but to enjoy life through the process, it will even allow the body to even have its own healing. It will not be as bad. There's more people that have survived because they were able to enjoy life and not allowing themselves to be stuck or submit to the illness or the disease that they have. Because understand, you are not the disease, you are not the illness, you are not the issue. So when you rise above whatever it is and putting it in its place, tapping into God, holding on to your faith, and continuing to share your stories. Again, thank you to the honorees today. Thank you to your families, because it takes family to get us through situations sometimes when we are even in a weak moment. So thank you to the family members that have been there, that have supported you through the process. Mia, thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I love you. You guys are all amazing. And I just can't wait to continue to follow y'all's journey to see what else comes behind this.
Thank you, Lady Q. Dr. Powell, final words? We can't hear your mic.
I am so encouraged by everything that I have heard. I just want to remind all of us, and even those that are watching today, that when I take the word faith, which is what it takes to get through anything that we're going through, just remember the F in faith means we have to fight. That's why I'll always say, put my mental boxing gloves on. The A, we got to have an attitude of gratitude that we are allowed to even wake up one more day. The I, we need to get more intimate with God, because much prayer, much power, little power, no prayer, no power. And then the T, as Zig Ziglar used to say, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And the H in faith, we need to hold on to hope. When we're at the end of our rope, hold on to hope. Because as my friend Les Brown says, if you can look up, you can get up. So I just want to say, keep the good fight of faith. Keep sharing your testimony, because remember, you're changing lives with your testimonies. Congratulations to each of you. I love you. I thank God for you, and I bless each of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Powell. Next, Merle, any final words? Can't hear you.
Sorry. Final words, of course, are always going to be, let's break the generational curse and let's keep talking about it. Domestic violence, a lot of people think that they'll look at you and think that, oh, you don't look like you've been through domestic violence. What does that look like? What does that look like? Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep bringing the awareness and breaking this curse. Thank you so much, Mia.
Thank you so much, Merle. And Dr. Green, first I want to say a special thank you to you, because without your words of encouragement, I don't think I would have done it this year, because I was going through some stuff with illness, and I wanted to put it off, and you just kept like, nope, we're not going to do that. You know, we're going to get through it, and we're going to have this event. So thank you so much for just, encouraging me always on those days are not so good, and just keeping in touch. I love you, sister. Any final words?
I love you, Mia. Your strength is beyond boundaries. And it was your doing. I know we all have our moments. I know the days when it's not a Mia day, when the sun doesn't shine and you don't get to go outside and sit in the sun for 5 minutes. But it is in us. Everyone who is a survivor has a different way of life. We believe that every moment is a gift. We believe that every purpose is purposeful. And that's another special piece that we just don't seem to understand. Every single person who's ever had the experience of fearing death, there is something about life that just gives you a whole new experience. Mia, I believe in you, I trust in you, and I know that you're here to do more work because God is using you to get more things done. And I just want to encourage everyone. Two things I want to leave on for me this evening is that early detection and your health is paramount. And a way to let that happen is that we also need to make sure that the people we elect, or legislators and or elected, need to be our advocates. Healthcare is a human right. And there's nowhere where the richest country in the world where people should not be able to have the opportunity to go to their doctors. And so I'm asking you today to we're getting to that place again. But right now we need to appeal, if you're in the state of Florida or across this country, the governors who are not seeing where Medicaid expansion for people who cannot afford to get health need to be written to or confronted. We need to live. There's no reason why we should be dying. COVID has caused another kind of poverty in this country. And everybody who has been affected by COVID is now going to have a pre-existing condition. And so we're saying this should be a universal initiative that every leader in this country should now have the compassion to recognize that Medicare and healthcare is essential and we all want to live. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you so much, Dr. Green. Sophie G.
You know, I just want to echo what, Attorney Arami said. She said, our lows should always be constantly growing. I think we should all keep that in mind. And to all those who are going through something now, those who've been diagnosed, I say to you, I echo what she also said. It's okay to not be understood. You're all here, I want to say kudos to Shamar for coming out and speaking up and being an advocate, a young Black man, young youth going through what he's going through. And he reminds us that sometimes it's hard to even go in a pool. Something I've heard you all, a few of you say who's been on this platform to this evening, I don't know if it's resonated with everybody, that a few of you have actually calculated that it's been approximately 27 years that a few of you have been going through this, been diagnosed, been living as heroes. 27 is a good number. So if you ain't got a ticket there, go buy a lot of tickets tonight. But anyway, I think it is important for you all to remember that you are what this platform represents. Warriors. 365. Dr. PP, I'm going to call you Dr. PP, Pam Powell, I have taken from you, and I'm going to be carrying this, the P factor. And I think all of us should apply it to our lives. And hold on to what you said about the F being the faith. And if you can see it, you can get out of it. I love that. I'm going to close off words of encouragement that I want to leave with you is, again, what my brother, our brother, Brian would have said to close his show. It was his favorite show. Again, today that would have been Daddy's birthday. Remember the words of Theodore Roosevelt, in any given moment of decision, remember that the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. And the absolute worst thing that you can do is nothing. So to all those, we all know somebody who's going through something. If we live long enough, we're going to know somebody who's going through something. So remember, allow that person to be the support system to that person who's going through it, and be a support system for yourself who's dealing with it. I love you all. I appreciate the honor of being here to speak with you today. God bless you all. Representing Ribbon of Culture, cancer survivors, domestic violence survivor, mental health, survivor. I love you. I appreciate you. May God continue to shine his light upon each and every one of us sitting here right now, and all those who are watching. I respect you all. God bless. One love.
Thank you so much, Sophie. And also thank you, Lady Q and Sophie is part of the Glow team. And, we are our sisters keepers that just keep uplifting each other, again, when days, it's okay that we don't feel good today, but it's nice when you get a text or a voice message, from that sister of encouraging words. So thank you, you too. Um, Ruby, any final words?
I would like to say that you are not alone and there is help out there. Your healing is a priority, and seek help. If you're not feeling like yourself or you're having too many negative thoughts, ask for help. It means that you are brave and strong, and you don't have to do it alone. If you don't face it, you can't heal it.
Thank you. And folks, I just want to remind you guys, every Tuesday at 6 p.m., please log on Facebook to Let's Talk About It, the Candid Conversation Show with Merle and Ruby. Again, they're true advocates and, just celebrating and bringing awareness to the guests that they have on their show. So every Tuesday, Let's Talk About It, Candid Conversations. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Mia.
And also Shamar. Any final words?
No, I don't have any final words.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Before we close out, I think we got everybody. I know Attorney Aramis, she had to leave, but we thank her so much for, being our keynote speaker and just, the powerful, inspiring words. And I thank her for all that she does within the community and just being a trooper. Thank her so much. I want to, again, thank another one of our sponsors, community partners, actually, which is No More Suffering Silence. And Dr. Tari Spear, she is the founder of No More Suffering in Silence, Inc., is a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering those that are affected by issues that result in silent suffering, such as depression, chronic illness, domestic violence, and abuse. Visit on Facebook at No More Suffering in Silence. And she is also our 2019 Ribbons of Survivors Domestic Violence Ambassador. And we also have Health by Design, is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to addressing the extreme obesity and related health problems among children and adults in our community. Visit online at www.healthbydesignusa.org. And there's a couple of announcements before we also close out. I am excited to announce upcoming show by Dr. Donald Tate of Dr. Donald Tate Associates. He's a grief recovery specialist, and he has a grief presentation that is going to be on October 30th from 7 to 7:30 p.m. streaming live on his Facebook page at Get Relief Out of Grief. So people, you got to check it out. And then also he will be on the Glow Show, Glow 365 show next month on November 16th. And he's going to talk about how to get relief from grief by flipping the script. He'll be our special guest. And that is on Tuesday, November the 16th at 7 p.m. And that's going to be streaming live on Facebook at Glow 365 virtual show. It'll be on all my other platforms, official Woman of Culture, Culture with a K. And also like us on YouTube at Official Women of Culture and also Official KUO Magazine as well. I want to thank all my guests, the honorees, and you, the viewers, family, and friends. I am Coach Mia, coming to you from Ocoee. Thank you all for tuning in to this year's, the 3rd annual Ribbons of Survivors, Warriors of Hope and Courage virtual show. Until next time, find your glow from within the mind, body, and soul, and just continue to be good to yourself, educate yourself, get your annual checkups, blood work, eat healthy, and take time, that me time, when we're in a place of depression, anxiety. Meditate to get back our wellness. Go in prayer to get back our wellness from within. I can't encourage you enough. For those that, ask me over and over, or can't believe that you're a breast cancer survivor, or you had breast cancer, you know what I say to them? This is life after breast cancer survivorship. From my mind, my body, and soul, and just keep it going. All of you, thank you. And to Carla Lewis, Kids Conquering Sickle Cell Foundation, and Lady Q, Pink 360, Pink and Pearls, thank you for being a part of this and helping me put this together. Without you, this would not be possible. The honorees, it would not be possible. Cooch, thank you from behind the scenes. Thank you again. Thank you all. And please, those that are watching, please share this event here to all your loved ones and family and friends. And let's just celebrate these young ladies and those that are still battling a condition or illness, and also survivors. And also, please don't forget the ones that we've lost. Remember them and celebrate them. Thank you all. Have a wonderful and blessed evening. Before we close out, Lima Dunbar is going to sing a final song.
I've been so many places in my life and time. I've sung a lot of songs, I've made some bad rhymes. I've acted out my life in stages with 10,000 people watching. We're alone and I'm singing this song to you. I know your image of me is what I hope to be. I've treated you unkindly, darling, can't you see? There's no one more important to me. Baby, can you see through me? We're alone and I'm singing this song to you. You taught me precious secrets of a true love withholding nothing. You came out in front and I was hiding. Now I'm so much better, and if my words don't come together, listen to the melody, 'cause my love isn't there hiding. Hey, yeah, I love you in a place where there's no space or time. I love you, for in my life you're a friend of mine. And when the light is over, remember when we were together. We're alone and I'm
Thank you so much, Lima Dunbar, and also Adriana Clark, for those beautiful songs and your words of inspiration again. Until next time, be safe, be healthy, and love yourself.